The views and opinions expressed in this video are solely those of the Fat Bearded Vinyl Guy and should not be taken seriously by sane people.
Hello again, Vinyl Nation. I am Matt, the Fat Bearded Vinyl Guy, and I am once again hanging out in the vinyl air. Now, I want to start out by thanking you, dear viewer. Since I started doing videos again, more of you have been checking them out. I used to get excited if a video got near double-digit views, but the last two videos, the Brian May episode and the Scorpions episode, are getting near 40 and 60 views respectively. Now, I know to a lot of people that's not anything at all, but for me, I mean, that's huge. When you're used to seeing 8, 9 views per video, 50 is a lot, so thank you. Today I am looking at the self-titled debut album from the mighty Led Zeppelin. It was released in January of 1969 and peaked at number 10 on the Billboard chart and number 6 in the UK. Former Yardbirds guitarist Jimmy Page, who after the Yardbirds' final gig in 1968 had the rights to the Yardbirds name for some additional obligations. Page originally wanted to form a supergroup with fellow former Yardbird Jeff Beck, as well as Who members Keith Moon on drums and John Entwistle on bass. Side note, Steve Winwood, later of Traffic, was considered for vocals. In hindsight, Page instead recruited Robert Plant on vocals, and Plant suggested Band of Joy bandmate John Bonham for drums. Session musician John Paul Jones asked about the vacant bassist position, as Yardbirds bassist Chris Jaya dropped out. This is one of those band lineups where all the stars align and magic happens. The band was initially called the New Yardbirds, and they actually performed under that name for a time, but the previously mentioned Chris Jaya said, "No, you were only allowed to use the Yardbirds name for the contractual obligations in Scandinavia, so get something else." Funny enough, that same Chris Jaya took the photo of the band on the back cover. Do you remember the aforementioned planned supergroup with Keith Moon and John Entwistle? Well, the reason it didn't happen was that reportedly Mooney said that a supergroup with Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page would go over like a lead balloon. Come to think of it, that's not a bad name for a band. I first heard this album when I was 15. I was in the middle of immersing myself in rock and classic rock. I was making up for lost time, as I was not an album listener until I was about in 8th grade. It was mostly just listening to the radio. This was the first full Zeppelin album I had heard, and it started a love of Led Zeppelin that continues today. Enough exposition already, let's get to the track by track. Holy heavy things, what an opening. Big, heavy accents start this record off right. This is clearly not your father's Yardbirds. There is no For Your Love or Shapes of Things here. Bono's drums are fat with a capital F-A-T, and I am a sucker for the 16ths on the bass drum. That's most likely where I fell in love with that. Nico McBrain of Iron Maiden does that a lot, and I love that as well. His drum parts, especially under the guitar solo, are busy, but they don't overpower the guitar. Jonesy has a killer bass fill right before the coda, but the fade out, honestly, it doesn't work for me. I'm not a fan. Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, it starts off softer, with just Plant and Page, with the latter playing arpeggiated chords on acoustic guitar. The full band only shows up on the B section after the verse, and I'm gonna go odd on you right now. When that full band rockin' section is going, I swear I see the flames on the album cover moving. But I might just be crazy. Plant goes full Robert Plant, inspiring hundreds, nay, thousands of vocalists to do the same in the next 5+ decades. Full disclosure, I love me a dirty blues song, and You Shook Me fits the bill. This is probably the filthiest blues you could get in 1969. It's a straightforward blues tune that I visualize in this smoky club that's only about half full. Page doubles Plant's vocal melody and plays some great slide guitar on this track. Jonesy plays a great soulful organ solo, and at the end of the following harmonica solo, it sounds like there's an odd edit on Plant's "yeah" going into the guitar solo. The song ends with Page and Plant doing a call and response, and honestly, if you're not all in on this record by now, check your pulse. Dazed and Confused starts off with a John Paul Jones descending bass line, while Robert Plant sings about how his woman doesn't treat him right. He spends a few verses complaining about how she's a liar and she keeps pushing him away, but he just won't give up. There's an extended middle section where it seems the only one doing anything with any structure is Jones playing a little 5-note pattern, the do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do. It all comes together into Page's guitar solo with a wall of sound, crashing cymbals, and Jones playing a walking bass line underneath. Then there's a final verse, and the coda features a call and response between Page and Bonham that evolves into a 5-note pattern, not unlike Jonesy's bass part prior. That builds until it ends side 1. Side 2 starts with John Paul Jones on the organ, with a mix of church organ and John Lord-style Deep Purple vibes. It starts out very free and improvisational, until 51 seconds in it goes into a more structured intro, where after a few bars he's joined by Bonham with a simple drum beat and Page on acoustic guitar. Plant comes in singing about his woman running around with all sorts of other guys, and he tells her that your time is gonna come, because karma. Now, my original cassette copy of this album had the sides swapped, so this song was side 1, track 1. It's not a bad opener in its own right, but when I got my first CD copy of the album, I went, wait, this is backwards. Well, then I learned that my original cassette copy was bass-ackwards. It was confusing at first, but I got better. Clearly, 15-year-old me didn't worry too much about that. The song ends with a vamp that, in my mind, awkwardly segues into the next track. There wasn't much going on, so I really wouldn't have minded a fade to black on that. Black Mountain Side is an instrumental track, mostly driven by Page on acoustic guitar and some bongos and other percussion in the back. Some harmonic minor runs give a bit of flavor, but for me it repeats too many times, and it seems that they needed another track for the record, and Page had this in his back pocket. Communication Breakdown is a driving rocker with another big wall of sound, lots of Bonham cymbals, and doubled intro riff on the guitar and bass that continues into the verse. Then Jonesy goes into a quasi-walking bass line for the chorus. This is one of the handful of songs on this record that actually has a chorus. Plant's woman is driving him crazy, and as a man that lives with 3 females, I have no idea what he's talking about. Page plays a blistering solo, and this is easily my favorite track on the record. Willie Dixon's I Can't Quit You Baby is a slow blues tune, and that's a welcome respite after the adrenaline rush of the last song. Bonham swings on the drum set, Page puts down a soulful guitar solo, and Jonesy is the seasoning in the back. It is a perfect bluesy recipe. Songs like this is why I love the blues, and it's probably responsible for me continuing to love the blues. John Paul Jones starts out How Many More Times with a walking bass line, and the band kicks off, doubling that bass line, only a lot heavier. I love Page's fuzz guitar sound on this track. Plant's woman is treating him bad again. When I give you all my love, please, please be true. There's another extended middle section where Page pulls out the violin bow again, and Plant brags about having 10 children and he's in constant heaven. The coda features a rockin' section with the bass line from the beginning, and it's another part where I swear I see the album cover moving. Save the comments, I know I'm crazy. The album ends with a huge ending that only Led Zeppelin can muster. This record is one of my all-time favorites. I loved it from the first time I put it in my Sony Walkman and pressed play on that day in 1991. At its essence, it's the blues turned to 11. No, 12. It's one of the greatest debut albums of all time, and I do not care if you agree or not. Not only is this a favorite record of mine, Not only is it a desert island disc, but it is the first one I'm grabbing. Period. If you want a more in-depth assessment of the debut Led Zeppelin record, check out episode 190 of the Ridiculous Rock Record Review podcast. Link is in the description. If you want to share your thoughts on Led Zeppelin 1, drop a comment below. Plus, you'll also help the visibility of the video, and I have no idea how. FatBeardedVinylGuide.com is the website with links to the Facebook and not much else. There's some old blog posts from last year and some broken links that I really need to update, but I have literally anything else to do. Like, subscribe, share. If you like it, tell your friends. If not, tell your family. Just tell someone. Until next time, baby, 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 I got to leave you, baby. And I'll catch you on the B-side.